So, babe,
I got a very important question to ask you.
Sounds serious. What is it?
How would you like to
play Genshin Impact
with me?
Despite its reputation as a waifu collector,
They're keeping me awake.
it is in fact possible to play miHoYo's free-to-play action RPG Genshin Impact as a co-op game with your other half.
Yes, I know that.
And as the game does require both hands to play, you should avoid getting yourself in too much trouble.
You are goddamn gifted, Private Gump.
That's not to say that you won't come across an awkward moment or two.
Oh god.
that line and that pose.
And though the character balance is a bit one-sided, you will find a selection of hot husbandos too.
Must be hard being brothers.
From the off, Genshin Impact presents you with a beautiful, natural-feeling world which has expanded significantly since release. Traversing Teyvat is often a very scenic experience, and the countryside is dotted with people, puzzles, chests and challenges to keep it interesting. While the graphical style, random weather and sympathetic music really breathe life into the world. Towns offer much to see and do, with a vast menu of crafting and cooking options.
There's shrimp kebabs, shrimp creole.
Few to mostly ignore.
The story is actually pretty good, at least once this twat gets out of your way. It's interesting and involved, very character-focused and charming, even if it is your pretty typical anime fare. It's still being developed along with the world itself, which is good, but also means you'll probably be waiting years for a decent conclusion. You'll also find that story chapters are locked behind adventure ranks, essentially your account level, requiring you to engage in mountains of repetitive dailies, side quests and busy work before you can progress further.
You commit 3 minor genocides and the shields go down.
But you can still have fun with it.
No, so you don't even have to fully genocide the camp. Whoops. But I killed all of them. And not just the men, the women, the children. Of course, the main draw for many, and main source of income for miHoYo, are the characters. A vast and rapidly expanding roster of mostly well-designed anime heroes and heroines await, offering plenty of choice from which to form your perfect team so you can replace that racist cop. So, outsider, as you can see, the bridge is off limits at the moment. To everybody, yeah. Pretty quickly. And also drain your wallet, as you will meet a long line of interesting people.
Benjamin Buford Blue.
No doubt tempting you to roll for them as playable characters. More on that later. Your fantasy fat materials sport a variety of weapons, elements, and unique skills, giving them different roles within a party, and creating a good synergistic team can really pay off.
We be watching out for one another.
Importantly, for an action RPG, the combat is smooth and satisfying. Controls are simple and effectiveness revolves around using different characters' skills to complement each other. There's plenty of scope for using interesting combinations of abilities and equipment as long as you have it. And the element system allows for environmental interactions, which creates some fun opportunities. Something you may find yourself experimenting with in towns, as most of the NPCs have less personality than a burning bale of hay.
What are you destroying? I'm in the party setup screen and all I can...
Nothing.
Once you hit Adventure Rank 16, you will finally be able to engage in multiplayer.
Combat doesn't change a great deal in co-op. You now have 2 or more active characters on the field, so you can proc elemental reactions and generally do more damage, as long as your accounts are approximately on par with each other. You may notice the slight disparity in the background footage between my AR-56 account and Eve's AR-20 account. I beg your f***ing pardon. There is no scaling to fix this, so if you're more powerful than your partner, you'll have to handicap yourself in some way, like using this bitch.
No escape!
No, there's no escape from your mediocrity, Amber. Or be ridiculously overpowered in their world.
Why are you dying?
Record-breakingly successful, Genshin drew in a massive initial surge of players on release and maintains a large degree of its popularity still. Though, as a duo, there's no need to interact with the wider community, and we kinda recommend you don't.
Some of them people were loud and pushy.
This doesn't mean that the game is unlikely to be abandoned anytime in the foreseeable future. It's being supported semi-well. Content and characters are added on a regular basis. Features, on the other hand, tend to be neglected, so we'll come back to the topic of this debatable support shortly.
Well, we said some nice things. Time to ruin the mood.
So, here on Gaming Couple Live, we endeavor to review things from a strictly cooperative perspective. The whole focus on this channel is to help couples find good games that they can play together. So bearing that in mind, you remember all those nice things we said about the story, characters, and activities? Well, co-op switches half of them off. In fact, we'd describe co-op itself as a neglected feature in Genshin Impact.
Stupid is, stupid does.
And miHoYo seems very content to leave it that way.
I guess
Beyond the fact that neither of you will be able to do any quests while playing together. Beyond the fact that only the host player can open chests, complete puzzles and get rewards. Beyond the fact that you have to complete a significant chunk of the game before you can play together. Beyond the fact that there is no co-op scaling. You'll find the resin system. Basically an energy bar taken straight from a free-to-play mobile game.
Sometimes I guess there just aren't enough rocks.
This much lamented self-imposed limit on play is the resource which you use to claim rewards from domains and bosses. Most players hate this because it limits their access to farming good rewards, especially late game.
Well,
as a co-op duo, you'll hate it even more because domains and bosses are nearly the only content you can do together and get rewarded for.
that's just perfect.
Once depleted, unless you have some of the very limited items to restore some, you'll be left with just exploration and dailies to do together.
That's about it.
Or to call it a night, leaving the vacant mannequin NPCs your only companions.
Hey, who's this bitch?
Isn't that Beatrice? Isn't she a bard or something? Or flowers are? Or there's something irrelevant? Clearly not enough of a character to stick around for this conversation. The next day you'll have more. You'll do what you can with your resin, run out and go,
What am I gonna do now?
like we said, you can continue to explore the world together, but much of it is locked off by story progression, and so far it isn't that massive. Eventually you'll run out of accessible places you haven't been. Chests respawn very rarely, the puzzles are all one and done, which just leaves you gathering plants and rocks. And farming the same basic materials in the world day after day can obviously get frustrating and boring.
Who lives in a home like this?
Some f***er with mushrooms.
Content may be added frequently, but Genshin falls down on maintaining and improving mechanics and features.
What's that doing?
Elemental Sight. Remember that mechanic I told you you'd forget was even a thing?
And balance at this point is a complete joke. While free-to-play players will initially struggle and find the game quite challenging as the world tier increases, overused boss immunity phases are the only thing keeping them from standing against the decent late-game teams for more than a few seconds. And of course, the more you pay, the faster you'll get there.
Free characters with useless skills have never been fixed. Most buffs seem to go to whichever character miHoYo wants you to gamble on at the time, and continued inclusion of a permanent upgrade which makes a character effectively useless in their given role
Where you address one major community concern.
is still hurting Tectone. The stamina bar is also a thing,
I was running.
which sucks and limits everything you do. And there is still, after 2 years, no option to invert the fucking Y-axis.
As you may have heard, monetization in Genshin Impact is incredibly predatory.
Is that Mr. Gone? Mrs. Gone?
We can't stress enough that anybody with even a mildly addictive personality or who is generally affected by marketing which exploits your fear of missing out should avoid this, as if their children's college fund depends on it.
Your mama sure does care about your schooling, son.
Because it does. Possibly even worse, considering what we've said about resin limiting co-op potential, is the fact that you will restore resin with real money.
The game ropes you in the usual manner with heaps of introductory roles for the gacha system, free trials of characters to make you see how awesome the things you don't have are, and then trickles all that down to a dribble in the hope that you'll get frustrated and start typing card numbers.
I feel like I've been conned.
Yeah, welcome to Genshin. The rates on the gacha system are pretty painful, and the loot table is filled with junk weapons to throw at you by the ton, instead of the characters and weapons you desperately need. As both require multiple copies in order to maximize their effectiveness.
A free player can eventually, with some focus and a bit of luck, reach the lofty heights of having a decent endgame team.
You are no different.
Perhaps even two, which is good, because you need two good teams for the single player only endgame Spiral Abyss. But you will be at a significant disadvantage.
Your boy's different.
Compared to someone spending honestly ridiculous amounts of money on the game.
Much as some people don't need to worry about money,
We were sitting next to a millionaire!
we do. And there's a good chance you do too. Please, for your own sake, be cautious with your wallet around Genshin Impact.
That's all I have to say about that.
So is Genshin Impact a bad game?
Nah.
I would go so far as to say that it's a beautiful, fun game with a lot of character. That beauty is marred by the developer's heavy focus on your wallet.
We got more money than David Crockett.
rather than an honest desire to make their product better for the players, and perhaps even more inexplicably, their near complete disregard for multiplayer in general.
I said leave me here, goddammit!
For those looking for a game like this, which may cater better to couples, the upcoming Tower of Fantasy holds some promise, assuming they don't get themselves sued into oblivion before they even release. Being a full MMO, it will no doubt have better supported multiplayer. We would suggest not jumping onto the hype train just yet though. It's already over capacity and heading for Disappointment City Center.
Again.
Looking back though, it does look like my character's about to fall over, so I should stop doing that. Sorry everyone. It's been like that the whole time. You could have told me. You guys are bastards. Thanks for watching. If you'd like us to keep you posted on all the great and awful co-op games we play together, then please subscribe below and hit the notification bell. Likes and comments are always appreciated. See you soon!
See you soon!